As a finance professional in a disrupted business landscape, what does it take to be in demand? What does it take to attract great paying international roles? If you're an ICAN member, it'll just take one exam. That's all it takes to complete the globally recognized SEMA professional qualification and the internationally respected CGMA designation. As a SEMA member and a CGMA designation holder, employers will look at you as a finance professional, constantly acquiring new skills to add value to the business. That's why they'll be willing to pay premium to hire and retain you. If you have 5 years of relevant experience and are an ICAN member, you can directly sit for the final exam of the SEMA Professional Qualification, the Strategic Case Study exam. Start studying the SEMA Professional Qualification. Prepare to make an impact.
Good evening, everyone. My dear professional colleagues, friends of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, our students, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you to another episode of ICAN on Air. This day, Tuesday, the 24th of January, 2023. And we are coming with a topic that borders around our economy and some of the things that we're faced with that everybody is having currently. And the topic is the effects of Japa syndrome on Nigeria economy. I'm sure we all understand that this Japa has come and it has come to stay, with every one of us looking for a way. But we're going to understand today if it is a plus or minus. And to do justice to this, I have an erudite scholar, a seasoned journalist professional, Mr. Martins Oloja, who is currently the managing director and editor-in-chief of The Guardian, Nigeria. He's been a newspaper editor since 1990 and was appointed editor of Abuja Premier newspaper between 1990 and 1993. Abuja Newsday. He was Lagos Bureau Chief of Newspaper before he was elevated. He was pioneer senior advocate, editor of the Source News magazine between 1997 and 1999, when he was invited to Guardian in 1999 as the Abuja Bureau Chief and Deputy Editor. He was appointed the editor of the Guardian October 2012. A member of the Nigerian Guild of Editors, Nigeria Union of Journalists, and National Association of Black Journalists, NABJ, in United States of America. He was serving as the executive head, business and content development, the Guardian, since January 2016. He is a graduate of the Department of Mass Communication, University of Lagos, between 84 and 85, where he bagged the Daily Times Best Graduating Student, and University of Liverpool, where he completed his master's in international management. He has delivered more than 260 papers on public policy, journalism, reputation management, Christian study. He has also participated in several radio, television, public policy analysis program. Beside, he has covered international events in China, United States, South Korea, Australia, New Zealand, United Kingdom, including United States general election and inauguration between 2008 and 2009. He has also served as an executive consultant, content development to the South Africa Broadcasting Corporation FM station. Our guest today from the CV, you'll bear with me that he is an erudite scholar that will do justice to our topic. But before I come in with my guest, let me quickly tell you that the platform it's open for you to patronize your goods and services. I've been saying it, and this is the beginning of the year. You know, this program is globally connected, and people are set to patronize you once you're given to make us patronize your project, your product and services. Let me quickly go on a very short break. When I'll be coming in, I'll come in with our guest, where we will be discussing the issue of effect of Japa syndrome on Nigerian economy. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. I'll be right back. Welcome back, and it is give me great pleasure to welcome our guest for today, my erudite scholar, Mr. Martins Oloja. Good evening, sir. Please, you can unmute your mic. Unmute your mic, sir. Okay. Okay, it's unmuted. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you very well.
Oh, beautiful. It gives me great pleasure to have you on ICAN on Air. I remember the last time I had opportunity of engaging you was all the way in Abuja during the 52nd Annual Accountant Conference, where you gave it to us the way it is. But we are here this evening to discuss the common thing that is going on these days, Japa. Let me start this way, sir, that due to general economic and social, business, health, and educational climate hostility in Nigeria, a vocabulary has come up, and that's what we call Japa. And the youth has actually popularized this within themselves, of which we believe in no distance time, it might gain an acceptance in the global space, maybe as a vocabulary. So, as a knowledge coach and counselor, our global audience, we want to tap from your experience on this Japa and Japa syndrome. So, I'll start this way, sir. What can you explain to our viewers about Japa and the Japa syndrome?
Definitely, the way people understand it is the way people are leaving the country in growth, and people are just leaving because of the economic situation, because not much is working. Educational institutions that will prepare the young ones for the future are not well funded. And even people who are teaching in some of our tertiary institutions are sending their children abroad. And when you get to most of the embassies, high commissions of some of these developed countries, in the early hours, you find a lot of Nigerians. And even some in North American countries, and then some European countries. When you get to the accredited health centers where they go for medical checkups, you find a lot of Nigerians. And some of these embassies make a lot of money from applications alone. And this is very, very frightening. So this Japa syndrome is catching on and is very, very unfortunate, even when we are very close to a general election that can change the course of things and events in the country. So it's very, very disturbing that people are just trying to leave the country, even where people even people who have not applied for international passports before, that we enable them to obtain visa to leave the country, are applying to the extent that even the immigration offices all over the country are not able to, have not been able to cope with the demand for international passports. And this is very, very frightening. And that's why I feel that, well, it's a very good topic for discussion at this time, especially as it affects young ones.
That is a beautiful way to start this program this morning, Mr. Oloja. I want to state here that it's been opened that the word Japa and the phrase Japa syndrome was coined by Nigerian youth out of their impatience and laziness. Like we had one of our leaders said that our youth are very lazy. As a knowledge coach and a counselor, do you share the same opinion? If yes, why?
I don't share the opinion that our youths are very lazy. It is the operating environment that is responsible for why they say so. And so even our leader, who even was once quoted as saying that our youths are very lazy, actually did not put this thing in good context. Instead of explaining some of the conditions in the country, instead of telling us about the economic conditions, even the political environment and some of the things that are driving our youths crazy, he decided to say that they are very lazy, they should have done this, they should have done that. But where is the critical, where do we find critical infrastructure that will stimulate the way the youth in the country can be productive? Even one of the presidential candidates, we don't want to be political, is saying that it is time to move from consumption to production. It means that we are not producing in the country at the moment. The youth who are supposed to be the engine of growth and development, because they provide the labor force for production of goods and services in the country, they are not productive at this time. You know, there is no country that can develop without a funding of research for development, R&D, research and development. You cannot do anything without innovation, without research and development. But our tertiary institutions are not ready. Look at how long it took, even ASU, that is still threatening to go on strike for 8 months. They were not teaching, they were just researching on their own. They were not teaching, students were at home. Where in the world would, even in war-torn countries, they do not allow university system, the research institutes to just close shops like that, as we just did for 8 months. That is why even the people, most of the lecturers that have had these opportunities and the resources to send their own children for higher education, decide to take their children, to send their children abroad for quality education that they can get, that they cannot provide for their own children where they teach. This is rather unfortunate. So I do not agree with the notion that our youths are lazy. Look at it. Anywhere, whenever they go abroad, we read in the newspapers every day that they break records. Even from our own postgraduate institutions there, they go abroad and break records. Even those who are medical doctors that are performing great feats were products of our university system here. And when it is easy for people who even read medicine here to go abroad, and when they get there, they just sit for this professional examination and they pass. And they are breaking records. Look at the one that performed the operation of features that had not been done before, even in the United States. You know, and so many of them that are doing well. They always go and yes, do a lot. We see them, those even with first degree after post-primary education here, they break records everywhere. We cannot begin to mention their name, but we need this every day. They break records of institutions of higher learning in the developed world. It means that it is the operating environment here that is not conducive for growth, for innovation, for whatever. You look at the laboratories. Which of the laboratories, how many laboratories are reliable in the higher institutions, especially in the faculties of sciences, even medical sciences, sciences? The other day, we learned that Google took its own artificial intelligence center in West Africa to Ghana. After surveying most of the computer science and computer engineering schools in Nigeria, they couldn't find a faculty that could play host to artificial intelligence center. And they got to Ghana, they found a few universities and they were able to find the facilities that could play host to artificial intelligence center. That's not a good story, but that's the truth. At that time, and I still believe the head of Google in West Africa is a Nigerian, trained in one of our institutions here. I specifically about Oloja University, a lady. I don't want to be mentioning names, but she could not influence anything because this is science. They have to look for facilities. It is very shameful to our political leaders that they cannot fund education to the extent that institutions can provide and prepare the young ones for the future. This is the way we see things here, that there is this link between quality in education and development. If we cannot prepare, we cannot fund our institutions for higher education, we cannot prepare them for innovation, then there is no future. That is why the Japa syndrome is gaining ground, because they want to go for higher education in the countries that have facilities for training, because it is not enough. It is not about certificate. It's about your employable skills that can enable skills that will allow you to solve problems. Higher education is for solution to problems of society, but our institutions do not have. We have the teachers. Let no one deceive you. We have the teachers. We have our own professors here, but no incentive for them. The system is not good enough. No infrastructure, critical infrastructure for innovation. Not there. The other day when the Facebook man here, Mark Zuckerberg, came to Nigeria, was it in 2017 or 2018? He discovered that Japa should be a big hub for ICT growth in Nigeria. But since he left, what has happened? How many higher institutions have taken advantage of that setting? None. Since that time, we strike. Even medical doctors are on strike. They are threatening to go on strike again. So this kind of site, and you keep hearing of massive rampaging corruption in this place, and you see public officers going away with so much money that could have been used for research and development, and nobody is being punished. And because nobody is being punished, there is a problem. So The young ones will already see that there is no hope of a better tomorrow. As I always quote this author, Ongigi Wafiongo, who wrote Whip Not Child, he says that hope of a better tomorrow is the only comfort you can give to a weeping child. Hey, the young ones in this place find that there is no hope of a better tomorrow. So you cannot stop them from trying. But since you cannot provide solution, they will have to go.
Since there is no, since there is no solution, you have to find way yourself. Permit me to interject you there, my boss. But let me go ahead with this other question before I give room to my audience to bring in their question. Can you run us through some of the effects and consequences? You've been mentioning some while you're trying to talk about the aspect that Nigerians youth are not lazy. Take us through some of the effects and consequences that this Japa and Japa syndrome is having on brain drain and also on Nigerian economy as a whole.
You know, the one of the immediate effects is that there is no contribution, there is no link between this present and the future. There will be succession crisis because when even the professors they are now and those one in the civil service they are retiring. It means this is what Chinua Achebe was talking about in Things Fall Apart when he said, where are the suckers that will grow when the old banana trees die? Where are the suckers that will grow when the old banana trees die? The old banana trees are dying. Callers we have had, even the only Nobel laureate that we have in the country is very close to 90. And now we have not had another one since 1986. And
go ahead, sir. These
are the old banana trees that are dying. And then, where are the suckers that will grow? So succession crisis will result in, and you will find in future that there will be nobody to man various agencies. There will be no one to man our higher institutions. There will be no good ones to succeed the good ones that are getting old. This is the immediate effect. It means that there is no link between the present and the future. So there will be succession crisis. No one to take take over from people who are getting old, because the young ones that have skill are just exporting their skills to develop other economies. Then who will do this one here? It is the immediate, and it will continue to affect the economy because, as Peter Drucker talked about long ago, this is the age of knowledge workers. This is the age of knowledge workers. This is the age that the knowledge drives. If you are not knowledgeable enough in this 21st century, you will just be the illiterate of the 21st century, as Alvin Toffler would always say. The illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write. According to Alvin Toffler, the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Where do you learn? Where do you learn? Where do you unlearn? Where do you relearn? If not higher institutions where people do research. The research that people are doing here, people are obtaining higher certificates, masters, PhDs, and all those things like that. But I just learned that in China, for you to obtain your own doctoral degree, you have to identify a problem, and your own thesis should find solution to the problem before you can obtain the certificate. So we are not solving problems there because the critical infrastructure for knowledge development is not there, and nobody is talking about it. Our National Assembly that should be debating the way we are, the National Assembly is not there. It's a huge disappointment that the National Assembly, look at assemblies. That is the most important institution in a democracy. But this most important institution is not developing anything. They are not debating. They are now they are not contributing anything. They are not preventing corruption. They themselves are allegedly corrupt. They are not preventing anything. They are not investigating anything. Whatever they are investigating is for personal reasons. And so it's very, very disappointing. And that is why that the young ones, and even those energetic ones, even some who are not so young, but are skilled in medical sciences, in ICTs, and some other critical subjects of engineering, mathematics, all this things like that. They just go away. They go away, leaving us here like that, stranded. And the most important effect of that is what I talked about earlier, that secession crisis in our society. We no skill the workers around to develop the country. And the people who are now coming forward, you can see them, some of them are criminals, they are scoundrels, and they are here because there is nobody that is challenging them, and they do not find hope of a better tomorrow, and they do not find institutions that are there for governance, challenging them. And the criminal justice system is not something that you can be proud of. And the anti-corruption agencies are just arresting people and a few people that they can get, but they are not preventing corruption because the system is not there to prevent corruption. Corruption is growing rapidly like yam tendrils in the rainy season. So it's very, very unfortunate.
But, sir, if you permit me, there is this opinion that countries like China and India, they instituted a state-sponsored Japa, and I'm sure you are very much aware of this, for their citizens to go to all parts of the world. And today, those two nations are reference points in global economy. Do you think that this Japa syndrome that we are having in Nigeria could aid Nigerian economic development in a way, even though it was suffering induced, not government sponsor, as earlier adduced to, sir?
Yeah, you have answered the question. It's not. It is not organic. The way they go is not organic. It's not as if they go and come back to say, okay. In the beginning, when there was a country in this place, when there was a country, there were even universities alone were giving scholarships to some of their best scholars to go abroad, and they come back. They come back. But at that time, they will obtain scholarship and they will come back. But now, these people are living. What is the trigger? The trigger is not for the development of the country, and the trigger is not government induced. It's not public spirited. It is they are running away from suffering. They are running away from stagnation. They are running away from lack of development. So they want, it is not like the way of India and some of these Asian tigers. I am aware that in South Korea, for instance, where Samsung, the great Samsung, emanates from, they have not just the Ministry of Education, they have Ministry for Knowledge Development. They give scholarship to some of their best brains to go to the West and learn and come back. They return home. They monitor them as like good scholarship. They go there, obtain that. If you use your Google to check, you will see that South Korea, a country of about 60 million people, you will see their position in funding research and development, R&D, in the world. They are around number 5 or thereabouts. They fund it, and they are behind the excellence and the brand reputation you find in Samsung, in LG, and some other products that emanate from that. Look at what Samsung products are doing in the world market.
In the world market.
In the world market, look at what they are doing. They depend on export. They don't have oil. They don't have mineral resources. But what they use there, as in Singapore, is intellectual power. They fund research and development. So they send their own people abroad, and those people come back home. Some of the people who have remained abroad, you will remember that one of them from South Korea has become, we don't need the name, you know the story, has become even World Bank president. One had become United Nations Secretary General. Those who didn't come back home, they attained American citizenship. and they have reached the top. They've been World Bank president, they've been secretary to the government, as a United Nations Secretary General, and so on and so forth. So this is what they do there. So the way they depend on their own intellectual power abroad to bring whatever back home, and even to come and train the trainers at home, is different from our own. Our own, when people go abroad from here, they do not want to come back.
Nobody wants to come into it.
Yeah, if you come, look at the number of our people in entertainment industry. Look at the number of Nigerians playing for good clubs abroad in sports. Look at this boy in Arsenal, this Bukayo Saka. Look, why is he not playing for Nigeria? Look,
lot of them.
So many of them. You can easily get so many of them. Look at the great power that they brought from Bayern Munich to Real Madrid. You know, just name any club in Nigeria where in the West, some of these great clubs, you find the Nigerians, even as goalkeepers, everywhere, strikers, defender, but they don't want to play for Nigeria. They can't play for Nigeria. Even their fathers will say, look, because the condition at home, the operating environment here is not conducive. You can imagine, we are, despite these resources we have, the World Cup just ended. Nigeria could not qualify. As we speak, there is CHAN going on. Is going on in one of these North African countries. Nigeria could not qualify for Cup of Nations for indigenous players, for players at home. Nigeria could not qualify. Nigeria, the giant of Africa and the hope of the black race, the most populous black nation on earth, could not produce players to qualify for an African championship. It's not glorious. We don't want to say it's shameful. It's not glorious.
Mr. Oloja, we will proceed. And let me just pick the first question from my audience, and that is Fajbola, all the way from the Asian city in Ibadan. Fajbola is asking, push effect, which is the ugly trend of situation in Nigeria, and the pull effect, attractive package abroad, contributed immensely to the upsurge in brain drain, that is Japaism, abroad. What are the best, he's asking, what are the best alternative medicine to apply in addressing the syndrome of brain drain in Nigeria, sir?
Very straightforward. The best medicine is to improve the conditions, the governance system at home. It's not just winning elections and spending money and overpaying themselves, those people in government and impoverished people. It is to improve the conditions at home. The leadership must purge itself. It's good to know that we're going into election. Whoever wins, we don't know who we win. But it's not about who we win. It's about who we look at the condition here, who we want to restructure the system. That the system we have, even the president is the minister of petroleum resources. Look at what is happening to the energy sector. Despite everything, even the president himself, 46 years ago, was petroleum resources minister. He's today petroleum resources minister and head of state. Look at what is happening. So the leadership must reflect, must have some introspection to say that, look, for us to attract the brains we have abroad now, we must improve conditions at home. It's not enough to be crying that we have done this, we have done that, we have done this. What have they done? They must have a blueprint that they can use to restructure Nigeria for development, so that they will put so much money on critical infrastructure. They must recognize that they need to put so much money on education, development of education, development of research and development. You see this thing, we have so many papers, we have so many documents that they can use. It is not about documents, it is about the discipline of getting things done. That which is what they call execution of such things like that. They must come back. The National Assembly must work for the people. The National Assembly must work for the people.
The National Assembly, very important. The executive arm, the judiciary, the three arms of government must work. But then the leaders, they must know. We have 36 states in Nigeria. Where do we have the examples? Where do we have examples of states that are working? Yeah, it is easier for us to just blame the president, to blame Abuja. But what of 36 states of the federation? Which of the states are exemplary in good governance, apart from the ones that win in the media? So many times we just give them award. We say, oh, this one is governor of the year. This one, governor of what? What kind of thing are they doing? So the best medicine for this kind of rot and the way we are is for people who are in office and in power, people who are duty bearers, to note first that we are nowhere in the world. To note that we need to spend so much money on critical infrastructure, not on buying big cars and building and stealing money to build big estates around the world. They have stolen enough. You know what is not in the news, what is not being discussed is that at the last count, they have recovered $5.2 billion from a former head of state. We cannot point to what they have used the money to develop in Nigeria. We do not know where the money is, 5.2 billion. The other day when people were talking about Mobutu Sese Seko was credited with stealing $4 billion. But now from a Nigerian former head of state, they have recovered $5.2 billion. What? Who is tracing what they have not recovered from the family of that former head of state? So this is the issue. Know that corruption is part of our problem that has hit so deep. We must fight corruption to ensure that we have money to develop critical infrastructure, to restructure the university system, so that some of these first generation universities and some of these private universities are struggling, and they are if you leave them alone, if you pay attention to them, they can become centers of world powers, intellectual powers. But now nobody is facing it. Look at how much. If you can trail, if you do the money trail of what they are spending to be in office, if the total salary, the emolument for a president for 4 years is 56 million naira, how much are people spending now to occupy that office? What is there for the motivation? Same for people who want to be governors, people who want to go to National Assembly. What is the total emolument for 4 years that they are spending so much money? Why is somebody in office in Nigeria spending public funds to remain in office? It doesn't happen anywhere else. Look at how much they are budgeting. Look at our debt profile. Look at our subsidy. We have refineries that are not working. Look at what we are using to pay those people who are working with refineries that died long ago. So the only medicine, I don't see any second one, the only thing is good governance at home. Those who have stolen must be punished. Money should be recovered, and then corruption must be prevented, because the only way you can sustain development process is to ensure that you cut your coat according to your cloth, not your size. We have a government that can pursue sustainable goals, and then they stay at home and develop good governance system that will ensure that only the best are in positions. Only people who are properly educated and who have good character, because that is another component, are in government. And they will not be looking for how to get money to build estates and all. Look at one or some of our leaders who say, oh, EFCC has recovered this number of estates from them. Even the last, who look at the last chairman of even an anti-corruption agency who was charged with corruption himself. And all these things are not causing outrage in the country. And I believe that these are to just face governance issues, to punish offenders and thieves, state thieves, that is thieves of state. All those scoundrels, they must be punished. They can't go away with their loot as they try to loot our treasury with all their strength. They shouldn't go scot-free like that, because as Shakespeare, I used to be a teacher of literature. I remember one line, I know, that any mercy that forgives a murderer encourages murder. Any mercy that forgives a murderer encourage this murder, in order not to encourage state theft in our country. Those that have stolen our own public fund must be punished to discourage
brought to
people from stealing
justice.
public fund. Yes.
Well, sincerely speaking, Mr. Oloja, you've been doing justice, and I want to believe that our members are actually in sync with some of these things. But let me ask this question. You've been on for a while. I don't know what will be your assessment of the Nigerian economic performance. Let me start from before 1999 and now in 2023 that we have practiced democracy for 23 years.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me, sir? Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, I was asking that can you give us your objective assessment of the Nigerian economic performance before we enter democracy and the last 23 years of democracy in Nigeria? What's your objective assessment, sir?
You know, there is no economy. You know, there are there are some low-hanging fruits you can use to do some titration, to do some contextualization of what the economy. Look, when the last administration was, it's not campaigning for any government. It's not campaigning for any party or anything like that. We are just trying to contextualize some reporting of our economic system. A bag of rice was 8,000 in 2015 when the administration were coming in. Today it is very close to 50,000, a bag of rice. And look, what was a loaf of bread and all those things like that. And then we don't want to be using all this data to be just embarrassing people, but we are just trying to do some generalization in the interest of peace and stability in our country. But even the subsidy rate before the last administration, the subsidy rate, what was it and what is it today? And what of the debt profile? The Obasanjo administration in 2006 just got out of debt. Even though some people didn't like it, he got us out of debt. And we negotiated this thing. They refunded a lot of money to us, and which the governors were still fighting over. And we got out of it, but we are back in it at this time. That speaks volumes. Whatever we want to talk about, look at the percentage. Do you know, the other day it was published that even what we use in servicing debt is more than 80% of our budget. Not to talk of what we use in subsidy that we do not even know. We don't have correct data on subsidy. We do not have correct data on daily needs of our own PMS. PMS, we don't have. We have refineries that are not working. We have states that cannot even pay workers regularly. And look at where we are. So the economy, at this time, the economy is not there. The economy was better than this when we began this democracy. But today, it's not just about indictment. However, it's an indictment on the leadership of the country that they have not paid attention to whatever we need at this time. And look at whatever anybody is being paid now. Inflation rate has destroyed everything you earn. Look at what it takes now. We are paying more than 20,000 to move from one state to the other, just by road, and you are paying more than 100,000. Let me tell you this. As I noted, maybe it was during the ICAN discussion point. In 1990, when I was promoted as editor from Lagos, here I was going to assume duty in 1990. That is some 33 years ago. When I was going to assume duty in December, I flew Nigeria Airways from Lagos to Abuja I paid 250 naira. That was the flight ticket. 1990 here. 1990 here. Yes, that is that is 250 naira. Today, I just returned from Abuja. You know, if you do not book your flight in time, one way, you are going to pay more than 100,000 if care is not taken, depending on the airline. You see what it means. How much? How many times can I travel personally on my own to Abuja? How many times? How much? Because of the political economy of press freedom, for instance, look at what we need to import newsprint from Sweden to produce a newspaper that is not an essential commodity. How much can we get? Look at the cost of operation. Look at the cost of diesel. You look at the energy crisis that we have in the country. So this is a big problem. And I believe that we do not need to do so much comparison or to be using statistics to tell certain stories to show that we do not have an economy and the economy is destroyed. Everybody, the family foundation is destroyed. And so many people cannot pull their homes together because of the fact that we do not even have an economy to manage. People are resorting to prayers. People are resorting to criminal activities to make ends meet in our country. And this is very, very unfortunate.
Well, we've known so many and heard of some of these problems and challenges. I just want to ask Mr. Oloja, are there skill sets that are lacking in Nigeria education curriculum that require special attention? You said some things at the beginning about R&D, some other, especially, you know, at the preliminary level, which is the secondary, before we get to the tertiary education. Are there skill set that we are lacking that we need to introduce, at least, if not for anyone, for those of us that are still remain? But some of us have nowhere to go. It is here we die, sir.
You know that you know what is, you see, this is digital age. This is digital age. You need numeracy skill. You need analytical skill. This is the age we use analytics to tell stories and to measure things. And I use my own profession, my own industry as an example. Now, journalism has moved from writing stories and just writing stories and going home, that it will publish tomorrow and nobody will know about it. This is digital journalism age, and it comprises the following: journalism plus computer science. And when you get to good schools, as in Columbia, in New York City, Columbia School, one of the best English language schools in the world, when they disrupted their curriculum, they now say on their website, journalism plus computer science is equal to digital journalism. It's everywhere. This digitalization, and what have you? You need to expand this ICT. You need to expand digitalization in everything you do. Artificial intelligence is delivering services now and even removing jobs elsewhere. So you need this. Even medical scientists, even accountants now are going for forensic investigation skills, which are not easily available. You know it. The other day I knew that they brought somebody from outside, a Nigerian teaching accounting outside. I met him at that conference, to talk about even forensic investigation. So you need the knowledge base. It's not just to go for a seminar or for a crash program. You need institutions where people could go for postgraduate studies on that data mining, on investigation, on so many aspects of computer science, system data science. You need institutions. You need professors that will also go for training, young professors that will be doing this. Now, Where are the institutions in Nigeria that can prepare these skill sets to make us to be relevant in 21st century? Like I said earlier, we become illiterate of the 21st century despite our fluency in English language. Fluency in English language is not knowledge. It's not skill. Our ability to speak good English does not make us good workers in the 21st century or knowledge workers. Where are the institutions that are training people to use computer, to use digitalization systems, to use whatever we want to do? This is the age of data journalism. Where are the institutions that are teaching data and investigative journalism without writing too many stories? This is the problem that we have, my brother. This is the problem. So I think that we do not have a skill. Look at even our technical schools. They are dead. All these modern furniture and some of the things that we need, even POP making, even block laying and concreting and some of the things we use in modern buildings. So many of our people cannot handle some of these things. We are now bringing in some of these people from neighboring countries that we think are not doing well, from Ghana, from the Republic, from Togo, where they still have technical schools. I know the situation in Germany. They place emphasis on technical education, technical schools all over the place. So most of the people in Julius Berger and some of these construction companies and what they have here are products of their technical schools. Not many of them are graduates of engineering, this and that, but they are products of technical schools. They don't have a technical university or this kind of universities all over the place where they give people certificates and we're looking for white-collar jobs. Modern education should be able to solve problems, and people who are professors and people who have doctorate degrees in many fields are not supposed to be looking for jobs in government quarters and all those things like that. They are supposed to be producing people who will be doing production. Look, what can we finish well here now? There is no electricity. What is the megawatts? We're talking about 4,000 megawatts, 5,000 megawatts. We can increase some of these things. These are the problem. Without this critical infrastructure in place, we can't move forward. We can't have skill. We can speak good English. Very good. When we go on television, we shake table. We can speak good song. We can even add so much to it. So, oh my God, the angels have come down gods have come down in the likeness of man. No, we're just speaking grammar. We are speaking English. We don't have skills from higher institutions that can prepare us for the 21st century.
So we require basically digitalization, plugging into information technology, and let us start from the cradle. Let it start from the cradle so that we start developing our children to plug into the. It's been a wonderful time guesting Mr. Martins Oloja, the managing director of Guardian. It's been a wonderful time with you, I must confess. But before we close, there is always this that I will want to hear from you in closing. And it's that ICAN, like you know, is always open to ideas that will positively advance the growth of our members, the accountancy profession, and the business environment at large. Please, what will be your advice and suggestion to our members and the Institute at large on the future discuss on this program that will check and curtail the Japa and the Japa syndrome and the brain drain, especially in Nigeria? It seems there's a slight technical issue with my guest. It's part of the few challenges that we are faced with. And I want to believe that with the advent of the infrastructure being developed by the government, we will continue to have a better infrastructure. We've had a very quality and wonderful time with our guests today, Mr. Martins Oloja, who have done justice to the Japa and the Japa syndrome that we are faced with. Outside some of the things that our guests have said, I want to believe that you and I have a little to contribute. We should contribute our quota some of us I know where to go, because even the cost of getting some of these things out there is really not there. But in your own beat, wherever you are, at the grassroots, at the state level, at the federal level, do your part to make sure that you contribute your quota to the growth of this country. This country is for you and I, and together we can make it great and better. I want to sincerely appreciate our guest today, Mr. Martins Oloja, the Managing Director and Chief Editor of Guardian Nigeria, who have done justice to our paper presentation. And to all our viewers that are connected globally, a special appreciation to you. It is because you come in every Tuesday and Thursday. That is why we make sure that we'll provide you with some of the things that will equip our knowledge, both in accounting profession, outside accounting profession, so that we can be a robust accountant and a globally acclaimed accountant that will be vast in everything that we do. Let me quickly run through a few announcements that we have for our members who are connected today. I want to state here, okay, I'm being made to understand that my guest is back. I will actually need a parting shot from you. Mr. Martins, you're back, sir. You're back, sir. Please help me on mute.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, some of the technical issues that we normally face. I just want you to give us in 1 minute your parting shot advice for we accountants and the institute at large, even on this, to checkmate this Japa syndrome and brain drain. Your word in a minute, sir.
Oh, you know what I will say to accountants is that they have a great role to play as a very professional and respectable body in managing public finance in Nigeria, because so many of your members are in the public sector. And I want to reveal, quote unquote, there's nothing I'm revealing that they don't know. But it's just because I'm first and foremost a journalist. I'm a reporter. I'm an editor. I'm a commentator. I want to say that they have a great role to play in fighting corruption in Nigeria, because the Constitution and one enabling law like that set up the office of the Auditor General of the Federation enables them to do certain things to public account. Because the Auditor General of the Federation is actually the one that should be more powerful than the chairman of a EFCC, more powerful than the chairman of ICPC, because the Constitution and the enabling law empowers the Auditor General to do certain things that they have even set up laws to look at. What is it? The public accounts system. They have the Public Accounts Committee in the National Assembly that the Auditor General will report to without reporting to the President. That is a constitutional issue, but I am not too sure that the Auditor General of the Federation in Nigeria is playing that role. And some of them, from time to time, are members of ICAN. So they should do something about public account system, because it is through public account system that is not so trustworthy at this time, that they steal public fund in Nigeria and they get away with it. And the auditors, we don't know what happened. We do not know why we do not have public hearing on the public accounts from the Public Accounts Committee. The Public Accounts Committee in the National Assembly, conventionally, the two committees are headed by members of the opposition in order to secure and guarantee that we have public account in Nigeria that will serve public good. They are headed by those things. Why don't we have revelations from audited accounts of the Federation, audited accounts in the 36 states of the Federation that will reveal corruption at the highest level? So that is my message. They should do something about it through your members who are in the public sector.
I can assure you, Mr. Oloja, that the Institute is always out there to make sure that we give our best. And we promise you that our members that are always in position of authority will do justice to make sure that we give our best to it. Time is not our friend. I would have given more opportunity for you to speak, but I want to believe when next we call on you, you will definitely provide us with your time. Let me quickly keep out this announcement to our members that please Remember to pay your subscription fee. This is the beginning of the year so that you can benefit from the enormous benefit that we have for our members, and also for those that have attained the level of fellowship. The portal is open. Try as much as possible to get connected. On that note, I will be winding up and hosting you again on Thursday. Till I meet with you on Thursday with another topical issue that will interest you, even as it has to do with the Nigerian economy. Stay cool. I remain your host, CA Olusesan Okwade FCA. Till Thursday, stay blessed. Bye for now.